Girl, I'm going to be completely honest. This has been one of the existential crises of my life.
It was this point that I got to that I realized it's like, I have something to say and I'm missing out because I couldn't stand up and talk to people.
What I hear about people not wanting to put themselves out there is that, one, just plain and simple, it's very uncomfortable to be on camera.
What's up, listeners? Get ready for raw, unfiltered, laugh out loud conversations among friends. So take your bra off, get comfy, and let's jump into our show.
Well, it's really exciting to have you in the studio, Gina.
I'm so happy to be here.
I know before the cameras were rolling, we were just talking about how we first met. And I was just thinking, like, you were literally one of the first people I met when I moved to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Do you remember where we
were? Startup Vegas.
We were at Startup Vegas, and
yeah.
they had one of those networking sessions, and there were some really interesting people there. And then you came and sat down and started talking. I'm like, I like her. We're going to be friends.
Yeah, I literally hopped over the table to like sit next to you. Yeah.
And now look at you. Like, there's so many things I was reflecting on. Like, that was almost like 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And I remember us like getting together, having conversations, watching Super Bowl together that one year. And we were talking about what we want to do in life. And it's just really cool to see how your business has evolved and all the cool things you've done. So this is a great time for me to give everybody else the 411 about what you do. Gina Knock Knock is a marketing strategist who works at the intersection of wellness, business, and personal performance. She helps wellness founders and leaders build personal brands, not just the ones that look good online, but actually drive growth across the brands they run. So that was the, super formal, write it down kind of bio. But how do you describe what you do? Like, if your mom or a friend or someone who knows absolutely nothing about branding, it's like, what do you do, Gina?
I bring a business's vision to life through marketing and social media.
I love that.
Yeah.
Simple, to the point.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, business is all about getting sales and customers and providing a service to folks. And I think a lot of business owners, they have this vision and then they're like, what do I do? How do I get people in the door? Where are my customers?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of a blend of marketing. Marketing, I think, is really a blend of creativity and science. It's, for me, I work with a lot of founders bringing their brands to life, whether it's their personal brand or it's their actual company. But to your point, they have this big vision of what it is, but they don't know how to actually bring it to life through marketing and the way that they communicate what they do, who they help, how they help them. And then, how to also communicate that through content as well. So that's what I come in and help do. I really help solidify what is the brand strategy, how do they show up, and then what is the content that we create to not only establish the brand, but then to essentially turn all of those social media views into actual clients.
No, yeah. That's great. I mean, and this is a little bit of a slightly different topic that we normally tackle with Bras Off, because with Bras Off, though, I mean, it all fits. I mean, we like to talk to women. We like having these big conversations, unfiltered, kind of like tell it how it is and behind the scenes. And one of the reasons I wanted to invite you was, number one, you were cool as hell. And I really wanted to have you on the show. But two, it's like, honestly, when a lot of the women we're talking to, they're at a pivot point in their life. Yeah. They're looking at maybe a new career or new something, or they're evolving. And one of the biggest areas of pivot for folks is like, should I start a business? Mm-hmm. And the stats really support that, because a lot of the new entrepreneurs out there are women. I want to say it's like 1 out of every 2 new businesses is the entrepreneurial enterprises is run by a woman. Women-owned businesses make up almost 40% of all new businesses. And so I'm like, as we talk about these things in Bras Off, that talks to women and women who are looking for a next chapter. A next chapter usually involves some sort of new business enterprise. And I think where a lot of women tend to struggle is, hey, I have this great idea. Now, how do I actually get people to work with me? So what do you see? Do you see a lot of these similar trends with women in business?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's no surprise to me. It's like, you want it done, then give it to a woman. Right?
Exactly. It's like, I can't take any more like, honey, where's the ketchup or whatever. It's like, where's where I put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we are pretty, we're pretty efficient in the business space. So, you mentioned earlier, you said you work with people who do both personal branding and branding for their business. So what is the difference?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm going to give you a really good example. So the last big personal brand that I built was for a peptide expert last year. Mm-hmm. And so this particular expert was driving to creating educational style content about peptides.
Okay.
And then driving to several different offers. So this is another founder that's like, I have all of these things that I'm doing. I can't tell you how many multifaceted, not even just passionate founders, but it's like so many founders have multiple businesses. Mm-hmm. And so I think the personal brand is a great way to drive to any business that you create.
Okay.
So this particular expert had a direct-to-consumer offer, direct-to-consumer products, and then business-to-business offer, business-to-business products. So you have one specialty and you have like 4 ways to monetize. We made it into like 6 different ways to monetize. And that's a 7-figure brand, right? That's all being driven by one person. I think the beauty of having a personal brand too is that one, it doesn't lock you into the business. You can push to the businesses, you can sell them, and then they're off, then you get your big payday and get to walk away from the business, right? And then, but you still have authority in the space. And so you can go on to build something else and you'll still have all that audience authority, attention, you know what I mean, that you can push to other businesses. That's one thing. Another thing is people don't resonate with brands. They resonate with people.
Exactly.
So, I was speaking with a performance marketing manager that worked for like really big names like Dr. Amen, John Gordon, and this is someone that's literally responsible for driving revenue to these businesses. And he said the biggest thing, that one of the biggest success levers of these people is that they have a personal brand, because nobody can champion the brand and tell these stories and parables and really relate to people in a way that like a product can. Like the generic copy just doesn't work anymore, you know? So I think that's really the big benefit of having a personal brand. It's just much more effective at building that relationship, that trust, that credibility, that authority that's going to make people want to work with you.
Yeah. Anecdotally, one of the things that I notice among a lot of women that I've either coached or that I've engaged with in my own entrepreneurship journey is a lot of women are used to being behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. And the idea of being the face, I don't want to be the face. I don't want to get and pick whatever reason in the world.
Sure.
And they're just so reluctant to step out in front, which I personally think slows down people's progress. So, and no offense, everyone's at their own stage in their journey. Sure. But what I see is there are a lot of women out there with really great ideas or services who only get so far because they're afraid to just throw themselves out there and be seen. Yeah. What are some of the things that you've heard that make people resistant to actually putting themselves out there? Are these real concerns? And then how do you get past those?
Yeah, I love this. So primarily what I hear about people not wanting to put themselves out there is that, one, just plain and simple, it's very uncomfortable to be on camera. Like to sit in front of a camera, hit record, it's very uncomfortable. Yeah. It's uncomfortable to read from a transcript. Yeah. And, this is why in my personal branding program, I developed this podcast strategy, because I was like, it is just a conversation between you and I. Yep. I lay up the questions, they answer the questions, and then I cut myself out. And they, and they're like the expert.
It's like the alley-oop.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, there you go, take it to the end zone. And so that way it's more fluid. It seems more authentic. That's kind of how I help people over the hump, Yeah. So that's probably the most common concern, is that they're just uncomfortable creating content. And for some people, that is a real thing.
It's huge.
Like I just did a podcast session with the patient care director of a telehealth company that I'm working for. And she was great at lunch. And then as soon as we got into the studio, she just like froze up. And I felt so bad for her because I'm like, she's getting thrown into this, like creating content, and it's really uncomfortable for her. And I just saw like how uncomfortable it really does make people, you know? And so I would say, you know, the best way to kind of get over that is you have to be, okay, I'm in this era now where I'm like, I don't want to be pushed to anything. I want to be pulled.
Yeah. Okay.
You know? And so I think that when it comes to showing up for yourself and your brand, that has to really come from a like deep down, I'm not doing it, but I know that I should. Exactly. Sort of thing, you know, like the founder that I worked with last year was a literal ghost online, was like, I have no desire to be a content creator and all of that. And most founders don't.
Right.
You know, but unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation these days. And so I would say, one, to really think about the reason why. What is the why? Why do you want to show up? Is it because you want your business to be successful? You have all of this knowledge and skill and insights to share, and you want to help people learn and grow, you know? And then if it, in that case, then it really isn't about you, respectfully, right? It's about you having gifts and being willing to share your gifts with others. And you know, that can come down to just finding what works for you. Like maybe it is a podcast style interview that's more comfortable for you, then do those. Maybe it is reading from a teleprompter, then that's fine, do that. Maybe it's just like being more casual and like being like FaceTime and on your couch, you know? So I would just say find the medium that feels most comfortable for you to start, and know that it's uncomfortable for almost everyone that's doing it. Like I've been sitting and talking, I've been talking to my phone for years, and I still will mess up and re-record and stop. And, you know, that's kind of the beauty of video, but everybody goes through that phase, I think. And the most important thing is to really consider, why is this important to do? And if it is that important, then you find a way to make it work, right? I'm a firm believer that if there's a will, there's a way.
100%. I actually, most people don't believe this about me because I spend a lot of time in front of a microphone. I do a lot of speaking. I was a painfully shy child. Like I wouldn't speak to anyone. Calling someone on the phone would probably have given me a little child heart attack. I mean, it was bad, but it was, you know, it was this point that I got to that I realized it's like, I have something to say and I'm missing out because I couldn't stand up and talk to people. So I just made myself do it. And even though that's not exactly what you said, but it's like, there was something bigger that I wanted. And this one piece of fear was holding me back. And so it's like, do I just not have the life that I want and stay in fear, or do I move forward? So my why was pretty powerful, and I really forced myself out of that shell. And then the other thing, it's just practice and reps. You look at earlier versions of the Bras Off podcast. Woo, child. Don't look. No. But another real thing that people have said to me, and I've experienced myself, is sometimes when you put a message out there, and particularly being a woman and being sometimes women of color or different in some way, people love to take an opportunity to take shots at you. And so I think the message that you're saying, like if something is really that important, those things, you just ignore them. But can you talk about like, how do you deal with the trolls? Are there issues or challenges? Like how do you get past that and still stay on track with your personal brand and your key messages?
I think it's like anything that you have to be resilient through. You know, even when you're building a business, like when I still struggle with this now, which is rejection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I hate prospecting. I hate it. Like, I don't, and it's not even that bad these days. It's like, oh, you have to send a DM. You have to send an email. Like, what is the worst thing that's going to freaking happen to you? Relax. Like,
you and I should form a club, because I'm the same way right now. There's something I'm supposed to be promoting, and I'm like, I mean, I got to do this thing. Okay, maybe on Friday I'll do it.
It's so bad. Literally, I just posted, or I have a YouTube video going live. So I do this thing that's called like video journaling. I call it video journaling.
Okay.
Because I don't like I think faster than I can write. And I kind of just need to like get it out. Like I'm an external processor. So I will literally coach myself like on video. I'll just get it out and I will start to reframe it. And I just did this with prospecting because I walked away from so I was building basically like this little wellness empire last year.
I know, I was following.
I kind of disappeared on the face of the earth for 6 months and then I popped back up again. But yeah, so I essentially walked away from all 4 businesses that I was building last year. And I had to then step into like, okay, now who am I as an individual and how am I going to get my own clients and create my own opportunities? And so I was like, back to the streets, which I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, no. But, you know, I had to like, you see me and I was like, this is kind of cringe to be posting this, but I'm like, I think it's important to see mindset mastery in practice.
Yeah.
So I literally posted this like very private conversation between me and myself, you know, for the world to see, or probably the 5 people that are watching.
A few more now. We're all looking for the video.
I literally just had to say, so you see me kind of like struggling with it. I was like, you know, it's in my human design that it's kind of like seeking energy and that's not really my frequency, you know, all these like excuses. And then you see me kind of just like make a turn where I'm like, what is worse?
Yeah.
Reaching out to people or staying stuck where you are and thinking that you can't create opportunities for yourself, thinking that you did make a big mistake by walking away from those businesses? Or do you put yourself out there to prove that you can do it? Like, which is more important, your comfort zone or stepping out of discomfort to change your situation? Because if nothing changes, then nothing changes.
Right.
You know? And so I had to really like flip that and say, okay, so I was like, what is the strategy? And I was like, I'm going to offer all this value up front, as much value as I can. And then so I'm thinking, okay, so if you're approaching people offering value, like, hey, let me show you how to improve your social media. Let me create some content for you just to show them the type of work that I can do. Why wouldn't you want to reach out to them? Like you're doing them a favor, you know? Why wouldn't you want to share your skills and your services and create opportunities for yourself? And so I was like, you know what? Yeah, I should actually be excited about this instead of shrinking because of some level of discomfort, you know? And I think all of these challenges, it's just like, it's an invitation for our personal evolution.
Yes.
You know?
I'm so glad you used that word. We had a whole conversation about evolution a few episodes ago. And I think what I'm really appreciating about what you do and how you present yourself is, yes, you have a ton of knowledge and expertise in this area and branding, but you're also very human. And when people watch your content, it's like, oh, I like this person because A, she's real, she's normal, she has a variety of interests, because I'm like sitting here like peptides and learning all this stuff from your page. You guys got to check it out. And also you deliver the best value. I'm like reading this like, oh, I'm taking notes and I'm like, I'll have to talk to her after this episode. So that's one of the things I really appreciate about you. So like when I look at really great brands to follow, you're one of them.
Thank you.
What are there others that you really look at and point to as like, this is a really great example of what I'm talking about, and building an authentic personal brand that helps drive success? I mean, and it can be the ones that you've worked with or just others that you've seen.
Yeah. So the girl boss brands are crushing right now on social media. I think probably one of the people that are doing it the best is Maggie Sellers with the Hot, Smart, Rich community. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So very similar to what you were sharing. It's like when I first saw her creating content on TikTok, she would share about kind of like the VC world and the investment world and all of that, all of her like deep industry knowledge for sure. But she also peppered in like her own personal life. And I've just always been drawn to people like that I'm like, wow, you're beautiful, you're brilliant, and you're like a real human being,
Right.
And so that authenticity really shines through. And so I think the Hot, Smart, Rich community, I don't know if this was intentional or not, but from my understanding, the way I saw it fold out as someone that was watching from her audience is she was like, these are all of the podcasts that I'm listening to this week because we're hot, smart. These are what all the hot, smart, rich girls are listening to, And I was like, I love that. And it's just something that people can identify with. This is like the OG Sophia Amoroso, the OG girl boss, right? Is what she did with Girl Boss, right?
Yes.
People are proud to attach to that, to identify with that. So I think the personal brands that are doing really well are those that are really able to kind of create a community around them that really rally around them. Then it becomes like bigger than them.
Yeah. A movement.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a personal brand, really well done. And then of course that's a layup to all kinds of things. I think now she's working with Stephen Bartlett, just invested in her. So it's really huge. I mean, the number of TikTokers that I see appear on Jay Shetty's podcast.
I know, right?
I'm like, oh, wow. Like, yeah, it happens so quickly.
Yeah.
It seems.
So here's a question, because I'm thinking about that example that you just gave and the story that you told about yourself and some of the things that I'm working on in terms of personal branding. And one of the things that sometimes is difficult for me, and I think I solved it for me, but I just love to hear your take on it too, is that you mentioned the word evolution. Yeah. We are always personally evolving. Yeah. And a lot of the advice that you get around branding is like, you find your niche and you find your this and blah, blah, blah. But those things, if you're really truly evolving as a human, which we all will be, those things change.
Yeah.
So what is really the foundation of your personal brand? Or as you change and evolve, how do you make sure your brand can move with you?
Girl, I'm going to be completely honest. This has been one of the existential crises of my life.
Well, maybe I'll share how I did it, and maybe we'll figure something out.
Girl, let's exchange notes. Because, and I'm saying this because it really is a process of personal discovery. You know what I mean? So, like for me, I feel like my social channels really stagnated over the years because I pivoted so many times, because I can't create about something that I'm not personally passionate about, right? And so what I've done to kind of tackle this, and I just literally posted a TikTok about this, was like no niche. One, I think the landscape has changed. Before, a niche was incredibly important on social media. I still think it's very strong if you can find a niche and start with that just to grow the base of the audience. Then you can grow into other things later. That's one strategy. But I think that if you're someone like me that just pivots constantly,
I'm with you. We're in the Team Pivot Club.
Yes. Yeah. Then I think more of a lifestyle model is better, right? Because you think about it, there are like different personas online, right? There are like the experts where it's like very niche. They talk about one thing.
Right.
Right. And they're just like the deep expert known in that space. Much easier to grow faster that way. People know what to expect from you. They follow you. Like that's a really easy way to grow. Still really great advice. But now we are in an interest-based algorithm. So,
okay, what does that mean? Can you explain?
Yes, absolutely. So basically your feed sends you content that you're interested in first. It's not necessarily going to send you content of the people you follow. I mean, it will, but it's really going to send you new content that you've already engaged with. So it's like, oh, if now all of a sudden you're looking at peptides, which TikTok is freakishly like really
fast
good at this.
And relentless.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's what gives you, the ability to be seen by new audiences. I never talked about peptides ever before. And now this like huge influx of people. Like I was stuck in like 300 view jail on TikTok, and I started talking about peptides, and now those videos get thousands of views.
Wow.
So it just goes to prove that you can step into a new lane, even if you have followers that, followed you for business content like they were for me, So that's why having a niche nowadays isn't necessarily like that important.
Okay.
But I would say it just really depends on like what your goals are. So if you're a business owner, it's like, I think it's more important to have one standard lane that you work in, so like I'm in the wellness space now. So I was very hesitant at first I'm like, what the heck does any of this have to do with business and marketing? People are going to be confused. Here I go again, like different version of me showing up, But I was like, it doesn't matter, because I thought about it and I'm like, you look at the business sort of podcasts, like I'm a big follower of Stephen Bartlett's Diary of a CEO, you know what I mean? And so it's like, he has all kinds of health experts on there and it's all tied together, like your health, your, hormones, your personal productivity, it's all tied together. And so that's why I kind of gave myself permission to say, you know what, you know what, girl, you talk about whatever you want to talk about. Whatever.
Talk about those peptides.
Right, whatever steams your rice, girl. You want to talk about that, you talk about it. And, and it proves that it's possible to talk about what you're passionate about, because that's what's also going to help you show up more consistently, So I would say for people that are like struggling to figure it out, really the only way to figure it out is by testing and learning. This is what we say in marketing. We test and learn. And then you're going to find out, what topics do I really enjoy talking about, that I can be consistent about, that my audience is relating with. And then you just lean into that. But a lot of that is going to be just testing and learning and figuring it out. And I think that people shouldn't feel like, if you approach it in that way versus like another video that did 300, it's like, okay, then try something new and see what else resonates, make it more of a game of insights rather than feeling so discouraged that, your video isn't getting views.
Yeah, no, I love this because I'm going to insert myself for a second.
Please.
Because this has been an area that I've really struggled with. So when I first started as an entrepreneur, I was a fitness coach. I did bodybuilding. It was a very, very clear lane that I was in. I had a lot of media behind it. I was in Pop Sugar and Well and Good, and I was an expert here, and I did interviews there. It was like, bam. Yeah. But then I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. And it was such a weird shift. And so as I'm now older, wiser, and I'm a person who's always had lots of interest. Maybe it's the Gemini in us, I don't know. But I have struggled because I'm like, there still has to be a common thread in my head. So I started thinking about my values, like what are the things that I value that really translate into everything, connection, authenticity. So I love this podcast because we have some real conversations. We talk about things that are not pretty all the time. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing here, or I'm really tired, or, I want to run into business, but what am I doing? And or I don't want to settle in life. And like, we have some topics that are not pretty, but I think it's important because no one else wants to like put it all out there, So authenticity, connection, those types of things. So I'm wondering, like, for someone like me, who is you'd mentioned like a lifestyle brand. So I don't necessarily always have a product to sell. It's like, I'm selling myself and my life.
This is my life. I'm paid to exist.
I exist. You hear that? Pay me to exist, everybody. No, I'm kidding. I don't know if there's a deep question in there, but is it basically you've got a personal branding model with people who are then selling to a business, or they have a business and they sell products, or you have a lifestyle model and they do, Lord knows, a variety of things. Are there any other models that are in that branding space that people should consider?
Yeah. So I would say the way that I like to think about these three type of categories is you're going to fall into one of three categories. If you're going to monetize on social media, you're going to fall into one of three categories. You're either going to be a model. Okay, let me get this right. A magician, a maverick, or a muse.
Oh,
okay.
This sounds cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm buckled in. Magician, maverick, or muse.
Yes.
Okay.
So a magician is who I would consider a content creator. These are people that are like super creative. They know how to gain attention, right? They like the way that they create content. They just know how to capture attention. There's something magical about what they do, right?
Yeah. So the cool videos, the people who do the Love is Blind reactions and the, you know, like you're just in it because you're like, oh, that person's fun and cool and interesting.
Yeah, they're just creative and they
Okay.
just know how to get attention. There's some magic that they have, right?
Okay.
Whether they're a storyteller or it's in their editing or whatever. There's something
Yeah.
that's like special about them in some way that enables them to be able to capture attention. Those is who I would say are the magicians.
Okay.
Then you have the Mavericks that are just in the game because they want to make money. So these are like the personal brands that are driving to offers, products. They're the founders is the face of the brand. You know, they're just like here for strictly business.
Okay.
And then you have the Muse, who I would consider like the influencers. So they're just more aspirational in the sense that they can just post aesthetic sort of content, aspirational sort of content. They're not necessarily like talking or storytelling or whatever, but there's something that's aspirational about them, whether it's the way they look, their lifestyle, whatever it is. That is more of like the Muse, more influencer type, and they're going to monetize with like brand deals.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I never even thought about that. Now I'm like, which category am I? I'm not the first one. I mean, I like to think that I'm cute and funny and interesting. The algorithm tells me differently. So I guess
Don't listen to the algorithm. What does the algorithm know?
they're like, oh, you thought that was cute? 0 views.
I know. I'm like, take it down, post it again. This isn't right.
What are some of those cool tips though? Like I know we've been talking a lot about social media, and yes, you can do things offline, but I'm a firm believer in that content, especially social media content, is the language of the future. It is the way that people are marketing, period.
Yeah.
And I just see those industries doing nothing but growing and getting bigger. Are there any like fun, cool, interesting tips for someone who's maybe already out there doing some things and they might be stuck in the 300 view jail, or you know they've been consistent, or they feel really good about their message but it's not clicking? Are there some things that some little tips that you could provide?
Yeah, so I would go a layer deeper. Clicking in what sense?
That's a good question. Like what
Yeah.
answer it for me. Meaning, so someone's posting consistently. They feel really good about their message. Maybe they know which magician, Muse, Maverick category that they're in, yet maybe it's just not translating. Maybe they don't get the brand deals, or they're not getting enough views or people commenting or engagement or click-through rates or whatever the case may be. Where do they go?
Yeah. So the reason that I ask that is because it's important to know, like, what is the KPI? What is what you are measuring it by, that your measurement of success. So if it's like a view and engagement problem, right, that could have to do with like the format of the video. Do you have a hook that, and then are you able to retain people? Because retention is another huge metric. Like how long are people actually watching the video, right? And then also, are you getting comments and engagement? Because if you're not getting comments and engagement, then that's going to keep you from getting more views.
Right.
So it's like the more engagement you get, the further it gets pushed, the more views that it gets pushed. So if you're not getting a lot of engagement, let's say the hook is good and let's say the flow is good, but there's just not a lot of engagement, then you want to include a call to action. Like, hey, comment XYZ if XYZ, right?
Right.
And so like I did a educational video on peptides, like a peptide 101 video. And then I'm like, I'm curious how many of you guys are trying peps. Like drop pep in the comments if you are. That's a very simple thing for them to do. That is going to drive engagement. Also, another thing that this is insider information.
Ooh, yes.
This is strategy right here. So another thing that I'm loving is on TikTok, right? So peptides, for whatever reason, is going crazy on TikTok. And I made this video that was basically like, unpopular opinion, I don't like Retta, which was a great hook, unintentionally, by the way. Like, I did not mean for it to be that way. I was just sharing my opinion. But it just like took off because, one, everybody commented and weighed in on like what they thought Retta was.
Okay.
And then other people were asking questions. But so many people were like, where do you get it? And I'm like, this is a 3-minute video about how I don't like Retta. And everyone's like, where do you get it? And so basically all of these questions, I'm like, okay, I could drive them to my supplier, like straight up, right? Or I could drive them to a lead capture where I get their email, their phone number, then their data is my data, and I can communicate with them whenever and update them and share, you know, all the good, cool things that come my way. But then it also builds a list, and then it opens up to, once they submit the form on my page, then it opens to my partner page where it has all my affiliate offers there, you know, and so inserting a call to action like comment whatever to get my whatever, right? That's going to make people comment. And then when they do comment, you're like, click my link in bio.
Great. Here, check your DMs. There's something there for you. And it's a link and all this stuff.
You know what? At first I was doing the check your DMs, but then I realized you can't click the link in the DMs. So I was like, you know what? It's much better to send them to my profile because they can click the link there because no one's going to type it out. They're just going to be like, okay,
That's
whatever.
very true.
Yeah.
We are lazy by nature.
Yeah. I would bounce too. So that's just like, you know, some kind of like list building things. But, you know, those are ways to like drive more engagements and views, you know. And then if it's a problem with conversions, you know, even more important to add that call to action. Like when I was working with the peptide expert, it was comment consult for a link to book a consult, comment supplier for our preferred vendor, you know, things like that. And then you pull in a tool like ManyChat for Instagram, and then it will automatically DM them the link.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for those insider tips, Gina.
Absolutely.
I'm like, we'll be playing back this episode and transcript, and I'll be writing all this stuff down. So, who do you like to work with? Are you, if someone wanted to work with you, like, who's your ideal client? Who do you really like to help?
Yeah. So right now I'm really focused on helping wellness founders, particularly in like the telehealth and the peptide space.
Okay.
Yeah. I really am forcing as painful as it is, because I'm like, niche down, girl, niche down, because I hated doing that. And in the beginning I didn't, because I didn't really have enough business to do that. You know, another thing that I think is really worth mentioning is that this is really a game of test and learn. Like, I hope that if there's one thing that people take away from this conversation, it's this. Feeling like you're failing because things aren't working is actually a fallacy. You know, it's this idea of like failing forward, because if you are gaining insights and you're adapting and changing, like, you're not failing. So for a year and a half, when I first started off in entrepreneurship, I was like, okay, I'm just going to start freelancing and being a contractor. But then I didn't know what my offer was. And you remember this. I was asking you for advice on this, you know, and it really is a game of test and learn. It was me thinking like, okay, I think they need this. So let me start with strategy, for example. And then it's like, they want content.
Right.
And then so I'm like, okay, let me give you guys content. But then it was like, even if they had the content, what they really wanted was leads.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, let me pull in lead generation. Excuse me. And then this is how my offer really started forming, right? Where I'm like, okay, speaking to people, getting rejected, getting insights on like, okay, why doesn't this work for you? You know, and then refining the offer as we go. That's how, for the content creation piece, I ended up coming with a podcast studio, because I'm like, no one wants to do content. No one's going to sit in front of a camera, especially like these people who are my clients that are founders. Like, they're not going to sit in front of a camera. It doesn't matter if I give them a script or a format.
So
like,
true.
they're just not going to do it. And so I was like, let me make it easier for them and get them in studio and have a conversation with them. You know what I mean? So I just hope that people, as they're on this like path of building their personal brand and showing up online, whether it's like finding, you know, your niche or finding what your offer is, or, you know, trying to get some traction, just know that every step is an investment in your bank. You know, it's a compounding investment that will eventually pay off. Like, I did not expect to receive the opportunities that I did just from posting. I actually had so many limiting beliefs about like, who's gonna, you know, but it's like, no, you just have to get it out there and figure it out. And now I've been able to kind of niche down because I'm like, okay, I'm really deep in this space now, and I do have the opportunity to be selective. Whereas before I was like, I'll literally take anyone and everyone that needs to do a personal brand. But I think really focusing on working with people that are in the wellness space is who I can help best at this point in time right now.
I love that. I love the fact that you said failing forward. I know that a lot of women that engage with this podcast, they're used to being really successful. They're used to knowing exactly what to do. And so when you come into a new season of your life, and whether you're starting a business or trying on personal branding for the first time or something, there's this expectation we just know. We're going to read, we're going to study, and we're going to apply the thing, and it's going to be perfect. And that's just not true. And it's just like anything in life. Whenever you move into something new, there's trial and error. There's, you know, trying some things out. I don't know if our culture and society has a big tolerance for, you know, people trying things on often. It can be seen as flaky, or you haven't figured out what you're going to do yet. My favorite question that I get is, so what do you actually do now? I get that all the time. Like, how are you paying your bills? And I love that you said that, because I want to continue to encourage people to try it on.
Yeah.
Fail. And I think the key to what you said was it's information, and you're compounding, you're learning. Because I think back to the very first time I'm like, I'm going to be a fitness professional. I did everything wrong, sideways, 100 different times. I cringe thinking about some of the stuff that I did. And I was someone who was like a seasoned professional in the rest of my life. But in this area, which was brand new, it was crazy. And so it's a good, healthy reminder to me now, as I'm pivoting into a newer space, that I'm going to screw things up, and I'm going to learn, and I'll try some things. It's not going to work. I've done that. Y'all have seen it. I'm going to try some new things, and one day, or over the series of days, things will start to like click into place. Yeah. Until I decide that I want to try something else. So, no, I think that was really important, and I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No one has it together.
Right.
Literally no one.
Right.
Everyone is just figuring it out along the way. I can't tell you how many founders I work with that like everyone's just piecing it together. They come to me, you know, I'm a marketing strategist, right? And so they come to me and they're just like, like, here, what
marketing
do I do?
strategist and therapist.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm like, these are consulting hours, like literally just like there to solve their problems. But, it's amazing. It's like even these people that would seemingly, you would think that have it together. It's like, and they have multiple businesses. It's like, nope, everyone is just figuring it out. Some people are just better at posturing than others.
For real. Yeah. I've been in the back end of enough businesses to co-sign on this thing. And even on my own, like people are like, oh my gosh, Jennifer, you have it together. Everything looks so nice. And I'm sitting there like Saturday night in a fetal position. Like, what am I doing? What am I like? I'll just eat ramen noodles forever. You know,
literally
all of those things.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I know. I know that place so well. Even now, you know, even stepping away from, you know, those businesses that I built last year, I'm like, well, am I going to be able to do this? How am I ever going to find another person that has a telehealth clinic and does peptides? And then not just did I find one, I found two.
Yeah.
You know, so whenever I have a limiting belief, I really take it on as a challenge to be like, okay, then prove me wrong or prove me right.
Right.
You know? And so I think that just failing forward and knowing that it's not failing if you're gaining insights, I think just normalizing that is what people need to know, because I think part of what adds to the stress, it's like you're already feeling rejected, right? Because you're just like, this isn't working. This isn't working. Like, I can't tell you how long I was just like doing so much prospecting, going to networking events back to back to back to back to back for like a year and a half, trying to figure out my offer, not selling anything. My first year in entrepreneurship, I made like 10 grand and stacked like a lot of debt. You know, it's like, we won't even mention how much, but it's a lot. And, you know, it still is like scary, you know, because it's kind of like, I look back and I'm like, I have this history of kind of a graveyard of failures. And it makes me think like history is going to repeat itself. But then I have to remind myself that history is not going to repeat itself, because you're not starting from zero.
And it's really not failure.
Yeah.
It's information.
Yeah. You know, and it's like, you are not the person. It's like, another thing that's always given me comfort is you're not starting from zero, even though it feels that way.
Yes.
You're not, because you are coming in with all of the knowledge and experience that you have. To your point, you're going to gain insights along the way. And as long as you adapt, like, it's going to come together at some point. I used to say, like, it's inevitable. Like, it's going to come together at some point. There's just absolutely no way I'm continuing to move forward and it's not going to happen. Like, if you put yourself in a position to receive opportunities are going to come, you know?
Yeah.
So
One of the, I want to say it was Robert Kiyosaki, but if it's not him, you guys will feel free to correct me. Said the only way that you don't do well in business or you fail in business is if you stop.
If you quit, yeah.
If you quit.
Yeah.
Because eventually, I mean, as long, again, you have to have the mindset of I'm learning, I'm growing, but eventually it pops. Eventually something happens. You cannot be putting that kind of energy and momentum out in the universe and have nothing happen. And so when I have those moments where I'm like, woe is me, and I'm in the fetal position, I look back 6 months and just ask myself, where was I 6 months ago? And usually then I'm like, oh, well, there has been growth. And look, before I had no YouTube channel and now I have, 87 subscribers, which doesn't sound huge, but it's like, I knew nothing about YouTube. Now I'm like, oh yeah. And I need to have this and that and blah, blah, blah. I look back and I'm like, nobody knew what I was doing. I wasn't even posting because I was in such a, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just knew, like, the very first thing I knew was I wanted to have a podcast. I wanted to have conversations with people. It was really important. I didn't have everything figured out, but I wasn't going to just not do anything. So I'm like, let me just move forward with something and I'll learn along the way. And so in those moments when I today sometimes get discouraged, I'm like, yeah, but look, now your website's popping and you have a great podcast. I've had amazing guests like you, having really good, deep, meaningful conversations that people message me back about. And that's really like my test, I love that.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
there's one question, but I don't want to like take us all the way back to the beginning of the conversation.
No,
well, we've talked a lot about personal branding in terms of entrepreneurship or influencers. What about people who are just like, hey, I work at fill in the blank company, and do you see personal branding as an opportunity for people who are more like career focused and how they can leverage that to maybe have better opportunities in their career?
I think that just having a personal brand, even in general, is good for visibility. So it's like, if you're out there sharing your knowledge and expertise, like, people are going to find you.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me give you a perfect example. I build influencer and affiliate programs for brands. You know how many accounts I'm creeping on to see who I can sponsor and who should be a part of like gifting campaigns and things like that. So it's just like, here's another thing. People complain or they'll feel discouraged by the number of views that they get. And it's like, the number of views that you're getting matters less than who's actually watching your content.
True that.
You know what I mean? So, like, there are some creators now where in 5-10 years ago, I wouldn't hit them up because they don't have a lot of followers. But now what I look at is like, even if they have like a couple thousand followers, if their video gets a couple thousand views, I'm reaching out to them at least for a gifting campaign or for an affiliate campaign. You know what I mean? So I think I kind of digressed. But
no, that's okay. But I think it's important to, I think branding, way back when I was working at a university, I think we had a branding person come in, and she's like, I mean, personal branding is not just about like an entrepreneur, but it's like letting people know when you walk in the room, what should they expect from you? And so I think in a business sense, that makes so much sense. But also if you are a career person, it's like, well, I want to build a reputation of being this, or I'm a great connector, or I'm really great with complex issues or whatever. And I think there are ways that you can talk about yourself or represent yourself or put yourself out there that just enhances those qualities or those values that you'd like to project. And instead of necessarily driving to an offer, maybe it's driving to a new project or driving to being part of a team or whatever cool opportunity might be available to you, or a promotion. So
I mean, it's creating opportunities for yourself.
Right.
You know, like I used to work for an agency, and we would bring in these like creators to kind of consult. So I remember we worked with this girl that did a lot of like trend predictions, and we brought her on as a consultant. You know what I mean? So it's just like creating content. Even if you do work at a job, you're still creating visibility for yourself and creating opportunities for yourself. You know, it's like, I feel like your social media accounts is basically your portfolio. It's your live portfolio, you know? So it's like, if you have content out there that shows how deeply you know your expertise, that's even more, that's going to give you an edge over someone that's a complete ghost online, and that an employer's not going to be able to find that kind of context and be able to see how deeply, like how deep of an expert they are, because they're just not putting it out there. And they're also not getting the visibility that you are because you're actually putting yourself out there. So, you know, I think it's good to have just as kind of like an insurance or way to, you know, create your own opportunities.
Yeah, because the way the world is working and the way the economy works, there's sudden shifts, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, I got laid off, or I'm looking for a new job, or I need a new opportunity, or I need to supplement my income. And there are so many, this is such a powerful tool on how to make you stand out from other folks. So I guess if I were to summarize this whole conversation, I would say, especially to the people who listen to Bras Off, be seen and don't be afraid to be seen. How would you, if you had to give people a message or two to take away from this conversation, what would you want them to know?
I would want them to know that they should not feel discouraged if they're in this phase of failing forward, because it is not failing forward if you take the insights, and it doesn't feel so bad if your perspective frames it as like, this is a test and learn. This isn't me failing. This is me testing, learning, and gaining insights. Then you don't take it like a personal thing, which makes you want to stop, like, oh, I suck. No one wants to watch my content. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's one thing that I would just hope that people know out there is like, nobody really has it all figured out. Even everybody starts from somewhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would just hope that they don't feel discouraged as they're on the path of building their business, creating content, building their brand, just knowing that, there are going to be bumps along the way, but all of those are just insights that are going to help you develop the thing that actually works. So don't be discouraged along the way.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great point to wrap up our conversation. And so Bras Off folks, you guys know where to find us. You can go to my YouTube channel at Finally Jennifer, or any of the places where you listen to podcasts. But Gina, where can people connect with you?
Yeah, so you can connect with me. My handle is at Gina, Gina .knack, which is my actual last name.
I love it.
Not a layup to a joke, although it is still very funny. So that's spelled NAC, and I'm on all social platforms: Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, you know, because I feel like the Instagram is a little bit hurt. That's one that really hurts my ego. I'm like, it's so beautiful. And
it is very
curated.
pretty. I love it. I'm like, oh, I love her thumbnail strategy.
Oh my gosh, my AI is doing all the heavy lifting on my grid. But yeah, and then TikTok for, you know, all the pep talk.
Oh, I like that. I watch you on all the channels. Well, I really need to get better with my LinkedIn, but it's just but I watch you on all the other channels.
It's all the same content. It's distributed all across the channels.
Now, if you guys want to work with Gina, her program is called Branded and Booked. So that's definitely, if any being branded and being booked sounds like it's up your alley, then this is the woman that you want to be working with. So again, thank you, Gina. Thank you so much for your insights, not only on the technical part of branding, but your personal journey and just some of the advice for folks, because I think that's going to be exceedingly valuable. So thanks for being on Bras Off.
Thank you so much for having me. And I really appreciate what you're doing here to kind of create a space and a place for us to have these real conversations and hopefully, you know, touch people in some way that's helpful. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Bras Off. If you love the show, make sure you go to brasoffpod.com to subscribe and join our community.